Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of r/ProRevenge, because one of the simplest pleasures in life is seeing people get exactly what they deserve. Just like in this first one, where a misogynistic cheating boss gets exactly what he deserves. In the second one, some lazy workers gets what's coming to them when a whole group of employees teams up for revenge against them. And in the last one, OP gets her a-hole of an ex fired. So let's jump into these, and feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more daily Reddit stories. This one's titled, Stalker Boss Ends Up Regretting It. I used to work in a convenience store, and the store manager was a real prick. Misogynistic, offensive, as in haha, cancer is hilarious kind of offensive, creepy, and a downright bully. Sometime after I left, he was fired after he decided to turn a professional interview with a young woman into a conversation about her favorite porn. She reported him and he got the sack. Awesome. Anyway, this guy, we'll call him Andy, fancied himself as a real leader. I mean, he wasn't. He set impossible tasks and yelled instructions whilst doing absolutely nothing in the office in the meantime. I had a colleague called Gabby who, to be honest, I didn't get on with. However, I knew that at the time she was having a really tough time at home with her 3-month-old son. One day in the winter, it had snowed, fairly heavily. Gabby rang that morning and told Andy she couldn't make it in as she was snowed in. Everyone knew that wouldn't have been true, and that it was likely she hadn't slept well with the baby crying and whatnot. But you know what, who cares? She always worked hard, and she deserved a break. It was only a 4-hour shift, and the store was dead anyway. No customers were gonna walk over snow and ice for the morning paper. Plus, we were actually overstaffed. However, Andy had a problem with women. He was always disrespectful and demeaning. Like the rest of us, he knew she wouldn't be snowed in, but he didn't let it lie. He wanted to catch her out. Andy abandoned the store, serious gross misconduct, and got in his car. He made the 15-minute drive all the way to Gabby's house and took pictures of her car, her front driveway, and the rest of the street to prove she wasn't snowed in. He then called her into the office at the end of the week for a disciplinary. When she came out, she was in tears. She was on a final warning. Andy wouldn't want a dismissal on his quarterly record, so he basically just threatened her instead. This didn't sit well with anybody. We hated him anyway, but he went too far, making a single mom cry over something so ridiculous. Well, here's the good part. What Andy didn't realize was that on the last work night out, he has drunkenly revealed to the team that he was a serial cheater. He would regularly cheat on his wife of 18 years. He also had 2 teenage sons. He would justify it as having natural male hunger, if you've ever heard a more disturbing quote. Andy used to tell his wife that in the evening he'd finish at 11 p.m. This was a lie. He never worked later than 9 p.m. After an evening shift, he'd go and screw whichever side piece he had going at the time. Well, one evening, he finished at 9 p.m. and got in his car and started driving. What he didn't realize was that Gabby, who wasn't on shift that day, had dropped her son at her mom's house and had waited outside the store in her car for Andy to leave. She tailed his car all the way to his hookup house and parked 3 houses down. She then proceeded to take pictures of Andy hugging and kissing this random woman before pulling her inside and slamming the door. You can see where this is going. Andy didn't come into work for a week. When we saw him next, he looked broken. His wife had been anonymously sent the pictures of him getting off with another woman. She kicked him out and had contacted a solicitor to start a divorce process. His sons had blocked his number and wanted nothing to do with him. Of course, he knew who sent the pictures, but he had no proof, no evidence. Gabby stayed at the store for another 3 months before moving into a recruitment position for a pharmaceutical company. As far as I know, she's still there today, and doing well. As for Andy, I have no idea whether the divorce went through or not. I blocked him on all social media after I left the company, about a month after this whole thing. What I do know is that he's a disgusting, reprehensible human being who thought he was invincible. He thought he could walk all over people, bullying and belittling as he went. Well, he soon realized that nobody is invincible, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching his collapse. End. What's good about this revenge is it's also doing this guy's wife a favor, because she was able to find out about his cheating sooner than later instead of just wasting a bunch of time only to find out later on. Or worse, never even find out at all. Also, I love how his justification for cheating was his quote, natural male hunger. That has got to be the creepiest thing I've heard all day. This post is called, Too Lazy to Do Your Jobs? Well then, take care of the boxes. A bit of backstory, this was during my time I was working in retail. Every day, my department would get pallets of merchandise that needed to be stocked. Usually after my coworkers and I would leave for the day, just before closing. I would work closing one week, opening shift the following week, weekends off. During that time, we would have several groups of overnight coworkers, assigned to different departments to stock merchandise brought in on delivery trucks. and then put any overstock in the back and clean up the cardboard boxes. The opening shift would take care of any overstock pallets the overnights didn't have time to get to. Every week, each group of overnight employees would be rotated to different departments. Unfortunately, there was one group of overnight employees that had a bit of a reputation for being lazy, and those guys were assigned to my department for the week. At the time when this happened, I was working my opening shift, years before COVID. The wrongs being done during the week wasn't so much being done to just me, it was being done to my other coworkers in my entire department. So this was pretty much a group effort. On with the story, my coworkers and I get to our department to find 4 pallets of merchandise, saran wrapped, labeled as overstock. We double checked the pallets and the shelves and find out that it needed to be worked. We were pissed. By that time, the department manager and supervisor found out, and they were absolutely livid. So we ended up working the merchandise, putting them on the shelves. I was getting ready to start breaking down the boxes when I got this wicked idea. My idea was to stack all of the empty boxes like they were full, wrap them up, and label them as overstock. But I wanted to get the approval from my supervisor first. When I talked to my supervisor, I mentioned what I wanted to do. My supervisor chuckled at the idea, approved it, and explained what had happened to him last year. Apparently a year before, the overnight employees played a prank on him. On April 1st, they had left 2 pallets of merchandise wrapped up and labeled as overstock. He said he double-checked, only to find out that all of the boxes on the pallets were empty. He gathered all of us in the department, explained what we were doing, and we got to work. The supervisor explained that if it should happen again, we should inform him, work the merchandise, restock the empty boxes as if they are full, wrap them, label them as overstock, and leave the pallets for the overnighters. Unfortunately, my opening coworkers and I were done for the day. We were at 2 pallets. Fortunately, our closing coworkers were there when the supervisor explained what he wanted done. The next day, we walk in, more pallets of overstock merchandise. Supervisor was informed, basically rinse and repeat for the rest of the week. The last day of the week, however, we walk in. To our surprise, there was only 1 pallet. It had 7 pallets stacked on top of it, with the handwritten, "Go F yourselves" label on it. We informed the supervisor. He informed us that the overnight group assigned to our department were terminated by the store manager. What I especially enjoy about this one is how they got the entire shift's team in on the plan. There's just something extra satisfying about a whole group of people coming together for revenge. This one's called X yelled, had a temper tantrum about child support at his job, and blamed me in court for it. The next time I had to go to his work, he regretted it. My friend said to post this here. My ex is an abusive pile of crap, and we had a kid together. I left him while I was pregnant, but I would take the baby to see him on his lunch hour occasionally. He paid $29 US a month in child support for a very long time. I got it reviewed when he got that job, and it went to $89 a month. When he found out how much it went up, he threw a screaming temper tantrum in his work and chased me out of the building with our 9-month-old. We had family court a few days later, and he blamed me for everything. He even got his friends to lie and say that he was there and I started it. The judge thankfully didn't believe him, but I was told to continue these terrible visits at his work. Now for the revenge. It was a furniture rental store, and he would constantly badmouth customers in very detailed ways. The next and last time I took our baby there, I sat down with a small notepad and wrote down the names he and the other person said, how many months they said they were behind, how much they said owed, and every name he and his buddy called every single person. There were quite a few racial slurs said that day. When time was up, he had to leave, and I told his boss. The boss didn't do a damn thing. I knew 3 people he was badmouthing, and I knew how to get in touch with 5 or so others. I worked my way through that list, telling people exactly how their personal financial info was being released and the names they were called. He and his buddy lost their jobs the next day, and the owner filed a restraining order against them. I didn't feel bad at all. And this was r/ProRevenge. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Drop a like and subscribe if you want more. Stay beautiful, everyone, and I'll see you later.